Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and decode the exact skills you're going to need to absolutely crush the AB-410 exam. If you're prepping for this certification, you already know that stitching together data, apps, and processes is what makes a Power Platform solution a real game changer. But man, studying for it, it can totally feel like trying to drink from a fire hose. So today, we're cutting through all that noise. We're getting laser focused on literally the most critical domain of the AB-410 study guide, implementing business and process logic. By the end of this explainer, you're going to know exactly how to evaluate requirements and dodge those sneaky exam traps. Now, here's the kicker. The business logic and automation domain dictates a staggering 45% of your total score. 45%. The other domains, like creating a foundation and creating intelligent applications, well, they cap out at just 25 to 30% each. So what does that actually mean for you? It means there is absolutely no way you can just guess your way through business rules, cloud flows, and logic evaluations. This domain right here is the make or break section. Master this 45%, and you are well on your way to securing that certification. Here is our roadmap for conquering this massive section. We'll demystify AB-410 logic, compare business rules versus BPFs, tackle calculated, rollup, and formula columns, explore cloud flows and the AI hub, and finally, evaluate some exam use cases. Number 1. Demystifying AB-410 logic. So when the syllabus talks about logic, it's kind of throwing a massive net over several different Power Platform capabilities. The crucial point is that this domain really breaks down into 3 core pillars. First, creating cloud flows. Second, creating prompts and models in the AI hub. And third, implementing business and process logic. You've got to be super comfortable jumping between these 3 distinct areas. Cloud flows are basically your background automation engines. The AI hub, that's all about your prompt engineering and generative AI. And business and process logic, that is your direct, on-the-data, right-on-the-screen enforcement. Moving on to number 2, business rules versus BPFs. Let's zoom in on that process logic pillar, focusing first on a massive comparison you'll need to make. The syllabus explicitly demands that you know how to configure both business rules and business process flows, and you have to distinguish between the two. Think of business rules as your real-time, form-level traffic cops. They instantly hide fields, pop up error messages, and set default values right as the user is typing. On the flip side, business process flows, or BPFs, are your guided user experiences. They sit right at the top of the screen like a progress bar, literally holding the user's hand and walking them through distinct stages and steps, kind of like moving a sales pipeline from lead to close. But here is the real exam trap. Do you actually know which logic configuration is the right fit for your specific use case? The test is going to hand you a scenario and ask you to pick the absolute best solution. Let's say the requirement is, ensure the user cannot enter a discount greater than 20% without seeing an error immediately. If you choose a business process flow for that, you've failed the question. Why? Because a BPF does not evaluate real-time field constraints efficiently. That is 100% the job of a business rule. Conversely, if they want you to ensure user completes a credit check before moving a contract to the approval phase, well then, a business process flow hits the nail right on the head. It's all about matching the tool to the intended user experience. Number 3. Calculated, rollup, and formula columns. Let's step away from the screen for a minute and dig down into the Dataverse tables themselves. This trio of column types, calculated, rollup, and formula, is something you absolutely must be ready to configure under the process logic umbrella. And you've got to know the performance and real-time differences here, or they will catch you out. Calculated columns do simple math and logic synchronously. They calculate on the fly the second the record is retrieved. Roll-up columns, however, are asynchronous. They run on a scheduled background job to pull together data from related child records. Think of summing up all the invoice totals for a specific account. The exam loves, and I mean loves, to test if you know that roll-ups are not real-time. And finally, we have the newer kid on the block, formula columns. These let you use PowerFX directly on the column level for robust, real-time calculations. If the exam asks for a modern, real-time calculation using standard functions, you're going to want to evaluate formula columns. All right, number 4, cloud flows and the AI hub. Beyond columns and rules, you also have to conquer the automation and AI elements. For cloud flows, the exam is going to test you on everything from recommending triggers and connectors to managing approvals, configuring actions, and implementing flow control with conditions and loops. Oh, and don't forget testing and troubleshooting. Notice that word recommend in the requirements. That is huge. It means you won't just be asked how to build a flow. You'll be handed a business problem and asked to recommend the exact connector and trigger combination to solve it efficiently. Now, let's break down the exact step-by-step lifecycle for the AI Hub. First, you build a prompt, either from a template or totally from scratch. Second, you add grounding knowledge and dynamic inputs so that the prompt can actually react to real business data. Third, you customize those settings and pick the right generative models. And finally, you have to know how to consume that prompt, either by calling it within an app or triggering it inside one of those cloud flows we just talked about.
And finally, number 5, evaluating exam use cases.
This is the critical skill that ties the whole shebang together. The syllabus literally says evaluate use cases for business logic. That exact phrase is your biggest hint. Knowing the tools just isn't enough. You must evaluate their proper application. Microsoft doesn't just want administrators who can blindly click buttons. They want architects who can design the right solution. Evaluating means looking at a scenario, weighing all your options, and picking the clear winner based on best practices.
Which brings us to the ultimate exam trap, failing to analyze requirements to identify the correct implementation components. Seriously, it's so easy to read a requirement for a background calculation and mistakenly choose a real-time business rule, completely tanking your system's performance. Or reading a requirement to aggregate thousands of child records in real time and trying to force a rollup column to do it instantly when we already know it only runs asynchronously. You have to read the scenario carefully. Does it require immediate user feedback? Does it run in the background? Does it span multiple tables? Your evaluation of those specific constraints dictates whether you use a flow, a BPF, a business role, or a specific column type. Remember, mastering this evaluation across flows, rules, and columns is absolutely crucial. It's the key to securing up to 45% of your certification score. Every single time you study a feature, don't just learn how to build it. Ask yourself why you would build it, and honestly, when you would choose something else entirely. So the ultimate question to ask yourself right now is this. Are you ready to evaluate these specific use cases and totally conquer the AB-410 exam? If you can look at a business problem and instantly know whether it demands a business rule for real-time validation, a business process flow for user guidance, or a PowerFX formula column for dynamic math, then yeah, you are ready. Keep evaluating, keep questioning those use cases, and go ace that test. Thanks for tuning into this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.